Most people spend their entire lives trying to add things, more skills, more connections, more knowledge, more discipline, more of whatever they have been told is the ingredient they are missing. Machiavelli understood that this is the wrong direction, not because adding things is worthless, but because the things holding most people back are not absences, they are presences. Habits they have never examined, patterns they have carried so long they no longer see them as patterns, behaviors that feel entirely natural because they have been natural for years and that are quietly costing them everything they are trying to build. Machiavelli did not write about what to add to become powerful. He wrote about what to remove, what to quietly eliminate from the way you think, the way you move, the way you relate to the people around you. And the reason this video says tell no one is not because these eliminations are shameful. It is because the person who announces that they are changing almost never does. The person who changes quietly and lets the results speak already understands the most important thing on this entire list. 10 things, 10 quiet eliminations that will reshape everything. Let's begin. Elimination 1. Eliminate the need to be understood. This is the one that will surprise you most, because the need to be understood feels like a reasonable human need, and it is. But in the context of power, in the context of building something that the world has not yet seen, it is one of the most expensive needs you carry. Machiavelli observed that the most effective leaders he ever studied shared one unusual quality. They did not require the people around them to understand their decisions before they made them. They acted, and they allowed the result to provide the understanding that no amount of explanation could have generated in advance. The need to be understood before you act is the need for permission dressed up in emotional language. It says, I will move when enough people see what I see, and enough people almost never do. Not in advance, not before the result exists to confirm it. Eliminate the wait. Move. Let the result do the explaining. Elimination 2. Eliminate cheap talk. Machiavelli was precise about this. He understood that words in the hands of a person who uses them carelessly are not just useless, they are actively destructive. Every time you say something you will do and do not do it, you make a withdrawal from the account of your own credibility. Every time you share an opinion in a room that did not ask for it, you spend attention you could have earned. Every time you explain your plans before they are executed, you convert private momentum into public expectation that will weigh on every step that follows. The most powerful people in any environment are rarely the loudest. They are the most deliberate. Their words carry weight because they have eliminated the ones that do not. Speak less. Mean every word you say, and let the silence around your words be the thing that makes them land. Elimination 3. Eliminate reaction as a default. Machiavelli watched men destroy carefully constructed positions in a single reactive moment, not because they were weak, not because they were stupid, because they had never built the pause between stimulus and response that separates the reactive person from the deliberate one. When something provokes you, when someone challenges you, questions you, dismisses you, surprises you, the reactive person responds from the first available emotion, and the first available emotion is almost never the strategically correct one. The deliberate person pauses, not for drama, not to signal control, because they have built a genuine gap between what happens to them and what they decide to do about it. That gap is where power lives. The person who reacts follows. The person who pauses leads. Eliminate the automatic response. Build the pause. Everything changes on the other side of it. Elimination 4. Eliminate misplaced loyalty. This is one of the most painful ones and one of the most necessary. Machiavelli was direct about what misplaced loyalty costs. He watched men of extraordinary capabilities stay in alliances that had long since stopped serving them out of a commitment to a loyalty that was not being reciprocated. Not all loyalty is misplaced. Loyalty to people who have demonstrated through their actions over time under real conditions that they are genuinely aligned with you is one of the most valuable things you can maintain. But loyalty to history, to who someone was, rather than who they have shown you they are, is not loyalty. It is sentimentality wearing loyalty's clothes. Eliminate the commitments that exist only because they once existed. Not with cruelty, not with announcement. Quietly, by redirecting your energy toward the relationships where the evidence actually supports the trust. Elimination 5. Eliminate the performance of struggle. There is a specific habit that keeps many capable people invisible in the rooms that matter. The habit of making sure people know how hard they are working, how much they sacrificed, how many obstacles they overcame, how difficult the path has been, and how much credit they deserve for having walked it anyway. Machiavelli understood that this performance, however genuine the struggle behind it, signals the wrong thing to everyone watching. It signals that the difficulty is bigger than you, that you are managing it but only just, that what you are doing is costing you more than you want to admit. The most powerful people make the difficult look unremarkable, not because it is not difficult, because they have decided that difficulty is simply the price of doing real work, and that advertising the price serves no one, including themselves. Do the work in private. Show only the result. Let people wonder how you made it look easy. That wondering is worth more than any explanation of your effort could ever be. Elimination 6. Eliminate the fear of being disliked. Machiavelli wrote about whether it is better to be loved or feared, but underneath that question is a more fundamental one that he was really addressing. What happens to the person who shapes every decision around avoiding the disapproval of others? The answer is that they become invisible, not literally, but in the way that matters most. They become the person who never says anything that could cause friction, who never holds a position under pressure, who softens every truth until it no longer is one. And what they get in return is not love, it is comfort. Their presence is comfortable to everyone because it demands nothing of anyone. And comfort is not respect. Comfortable people are liked and ignored. Eliminate the fear that your honest position will cost you a relationship worth keeping, because any relationship that requires you to have no position is not a relationship worth keeping. The person who is willing to be disliked for the right reasons at the right moments is the person who earns something far more durable. They earn respect. Elimination 7. Eliminate scattered focus. Machiavelli understood that the prince who tries to defend every frontier defends none of them. The same principle applied to attention is one of the most practically powerful things in this entire video. Most people distribute their attention widely, across too many projects, too many obligations, too many directions, that each get just enough of them to sustain themselves, but never enough to become something real. And the result is a life that is constantly moving and rarely arriving. Power in Machiavelli's framework was never diffuse. It was concentrated, applied with full force to a single point until that point broke open. Ask yourself honestly where your attention actually goes. Not where you intend it to go, not where you believe it goes, where it actually goes. And then eliminate every claim on that attention that is not moving you toward the single most important thing you are trying to build. Not forever, but for long enough to create the concentrated force that diffused effort can never produce. Elimination 8. Eliminate information leakage. Information about you, your plans, your doubts, your frustrations, your next move is a resource. Like any resource, it has value precisely because it is not universally available. Machiavelli understood that the person who controls the information about themselves controls a significant portion of how they are perceived, positioned, and responded to. Most people leak constantly, not maliciously, not carelessly in the obvious sense, but in the small, casual ways that add up to a complete picture assembled by anyone paying attention. The frustration shared too readily in a public space. The plan mentioned before it was ready to be mentioned. The doubt voiced to someone who was not equipped to hold it safely. What you share, and with whom, and at what stage, is a strategic decision whether or not you treat it as one. start treating it as one. Eliminate the casual disclosure, not because secrecy is a virtue in itself, but because the information you protect continues to work for you, and the information you release works for whoever receives it. Elimination 9. Eliminate the habit of seeking external validation. Of all 10 eliminations, this is the one that runs deepest, and the one that is most difficult to see in yourself. Because external validation does not always look like obvious approval seeking. Sometimes it looks like sharing your work too early because you cannot hold the uncertainty of not yet knowing whether it is good. Sometimes it looks like making decisions with one eye on what a specific person will think when they find out. Sometimes it looks like the deflation that arrives when the response to something you built is smaller than you needed it to be. Machiavelli was precise about this dependency. He understood that the person whose sense of their own direction depended on the response of others was always one disappointing response away from losing their way entirely. Build an internal reference point, a clear standard that you apply to your own work, independent of anyone else's assessment. Not arrogance, not the refusal to learn from feedback, a settled knowledge of what you are building and why that does not require external confirmation to remain intact. The person who validates themselves cannot be manipulated through the withholding of approval, and that makes them extraordinarily difficult to control. Elimination 10. Eliminate the story that the timing is not right. Machiavelli believed that fortune favors the bold, but what he observed more carefully than almost anyone was something slightly different. He observed that the people who waited for perfect conditions were still waiting when the people who moved imperfectly had already arrived. The story that the timing is not right is one of the most sophisticated forms of self-protection the human mind ever invented, because it sounds reasonable. I just need a little more time, a little more preparation, a little more certainty that this is the right move before I commit to it fully. And every one of those sentences is true, and none of them is the real reason. The real reason is that moving means the possibility of failure, and not moving keeps that possibility safely theoretical. Eliminate the story, not recklessly, not without preparation, but with the honest recognition that the preparation you are waiting to complete is not a fixed destination. It is a moving one, and the only way to stop moving, it is to decide that the current moment is sufficient, because it is. It always was. 10 eliminations. The need to be understood. Cheap talk. Reaction as a default. Misplaced loyalty. The performance of struggle. The fear of being disliked. Scattered focus. Information leakage. External validation. And the story that the timing is not right. None of these require you to become someone different. They require you to stop doing things that are costing you more than they are worth. And here is the thing about elimination that Machiavelli knew and that most people never fully absorb. It creates space. When you stop spending energy on the need to be understood, that energy goes somewhere. When you eliminate scattered focus, the concentration that replaces it produces results that were impossible before. When you stop performing your struggle, the work itself becomes cleaner because it no longer carries the weight of also being a performance. Power is not built by addition. It is revealed by subtraction. And what is revealed when you have removed these 10 things is not a harder version of you, not a colder one, not a more calculating one, a clearer one. A version of you that acts from decision rather than reaction, that speaks from conviction rather than need, that moves from direction rather than drift. That version has always been there, underneath the noise, underneath the patterns you inherited and never chose, underneath the habits that felt like personality because they had been there so long. Machiavelli understood that the most powerful thing a person could do was not to acquire more, but to become more of what they already were by removing everything that was obscuring it. That is the work. Quiet, consistent, told to no one until the results make the explanation unnecessary. If this video names something you have been carrying without ever deciding to, then do 3 things. First, one of the 10. Just one. The one that landed hardest. The one that made something shift in the quiet part of you.
That recognizes truth before the rest of you catches up. Eliminate that one thing quietly, without announcement. Second, hit
the like button. Not as a favor to me, because there is someone out there who is one video away from the shift they have been waiting for. The algorithm shows people what other people valued. If this was worth your attention, help it find them. And third, subscribe and turn on the notification bell, because this channel is built for the person who is done with the surface version of things, who wants to understand the structure beneath, who is willing to do the uncomfortable work of looking clearly at themselves and at the world and changing what they find. The person who turns on the bell, who shows up before the crowd, who does not wait to be told, has already eliminated one of the 10 things on this list. They eliminated the story that the timing was not right. They are already moving. Be that person. You already know you are.